everybody. Welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with Jonathan DeYoe. Jonathan, it's great to talk to you. Money Philosopher, you're the author. You've been on the show before, Mindful Money, and now Mindful Investing. I can't wait for this topic because I think it's something that is on the top of everybody's mind. You are a two-time best-selling author. You're also a podcast host, keynote speaker, heart-centered founder, mindfulness teacher. You help artists, authors, and entrepreneurs translate success into significance. Let's talk about money. But as a business coach, I work with people who are successful all over the globe, who are successful but stuck, and I get them unstuck. Where do people get stuck with money, and how can they get unstuck?
I think the question is one of mindset, and I would say that there's a lot of coaches out there. There's a lot of people that talk about how to get unstuck with money or how to get unstuck with anything in your life. I think in money in particular, it's just we have so much baggage around it. We have so much going on. We have so much information coming to us. We have so much stuff that we learned as kids. Our parents about money, all the stuff, and at the same time, we have a culture that puts money right at the center. And maybe the best thing that people can do is remove that. Don't put money at the center. Put your life at the center. Put your business at the center. Put your family at the center. Those are things that are really, really important. And if you pursue those things with all your effort and all your energy, money will come. What I talk about in Mindful Money, the first book, is how to plan for it. What I talk about mindful investing, the second book is how do you invest it in the simplest way possible. Don't make it the center. Don't make it the center. I think that's the best thing to do.
Yeah. I love the whole visualization you just gave of that, because I think a lot of times people they put it at the center and it's like money's here and then I can do everything else once I have the money. But if you put your life and your business, and I'll add one thing to that, fulfillment in there, then the money comes. Money just comes, right? You still have to do,
I think that's everything. That's everything.
Yeah, still need to do the work. Still need to do the work. But so now let's talk about that, right? I want to, before we talk about the work, I want to talk a little bit about sometimes a little bit more that you're mentioning, but the hangups of money, right? So you said, well, your parents and this. Right. We have a lot of people have a lot of voices in their head, about money. I know, like, my dad had a couple Michigas things about money that, like, I had to work really hard to, like, diffuse out of my psyche, right? That they weren't aligned with how I thought about money, but it was kind of myself almost in it because it was what I modeled. And so how do you break the chain to hear your voice and get in alignment with your voice, not everybody else's voice about money?
Yeah, I mean, I think we are so absorbed with social media and commentary and, right, left, and just the battle all the time. And there's an assumption that somehow paying attention to those headlines leads to better financial outcomes. And I think the assumption is dead wrong. I think that there's enormous amounts of research on this idea that the more decisions that we make, the worse our financial outcomes. So I think the very first thing is to recognize that we swim in a soup and that soup is poisoning us, right? It's not helping us for our financial outcomes. So then what do we do? Well, there's two different things I think are really, really, really important. I think the first thing is, three things. And this is sort of, I have this on our website. We have stop predicting, start planning, stay mindful. And I think all three of those things are really, really, really important. The idea of stop predicting. There's no facts about the future. Everyone's guessing. Everyone you read, everyone you hear, everyone that talks about the latest and greatest, everyone talks about the stuff that's to be afraid of. They're all guessing. No one knows what will happen, and no one knows how markets will react. It's impossible to know. We have to stop trying. So that the second line is start planning. So if I can't know what the future is going to hold, I have to operate in a way that admits uncertainty. Well, so what's that
Yeah.
mean? That means I've got to know where I'm going. I've got to line up dollar specific, time specific goal. And I have to take steps to those goals. And that's called financial planning. So you do more planning, and that's important. But then the most important thing, and this is where we all fall down, is the world will throw us something that's painful and dangerous, difficult.
Yeah.
And we will react to that. And
Yeah.
reaction does not get you to success.
Right.
Planning and acting gets you to success. Reacting hurts you.
Say that again, because everybody needs to hear that.
Planning and acting gets you to success. Reacting hurts you, which is why that third line, stay mindful.
Correct. I always say children react, adults respond. I just interviewed a guy this morning, Jonathan, who worked at Hostess, wrote a book called Snap and Go, was a snapper in college. And he talks about, I was asking about the 10 seconds he has, like right when he's on the field, when he played for Northwestern. And he said 60% of it was preparation, right? The execution is a very small part of it. And to your point, I don't think people think about planning as much as they should, as much as they should. I thought I was actually a really, really great planner. And then my dad passed away unexpectedly. And I realized I didn't have things in plan. This was as well as I needed to. And so, so to the people out there who think that there's time or that they can wait or that they'll, well, we'll do it later. How do you start preparing small, right? Because it seems so big. So how do you start preparing small?
The hope. So I work with people that have millions of dollars. That's my life. Like I'm a financial advisor. I've been a financial advisor for 25, almost 30 years. The goal of the books is to reach people that, 95% of people will never have access to someone like me. Like 50% of people have no money whatsoever. 45% of people above that have some money. The 5% at the very top have all the money. And so that's the people who work with financial advisors, right? So the point of the books and the podcasts and the blogging and all the stuff that I do is to actually help the other people. And there's, the first thing is start where you are, admit where you are, figure out where you are and be honest about it. I see so many people that are 19 to 25 years old and they're just like, oh, I should be further. I should be better. I should be. You know what? You're 20. Like, don't stress this. You will become better. In the next decade, you'll get raises. You'll have more income. You'll be able to save more. Don't stress it today. Work towards it, plan towards it, begin to understand where you want to go, but start from where you are. And everyone can get better tomorrow and the next day. Just don't compare yourself to everyone else. Don't compare yourself to the generation before you. Compare yourself to you yesterday and to you tomorrow. And are you moving in the directions you want to move?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, so let's talk about, you've written 2 books. And your books, your first book, Mindful Money, Being Mindful, and Mindful Investing. In the spirit of preparation, how do you first get mindful every time you think about money, right? So the stock market goes up, you're mindful. The stock market goes down, you're mindful, right? So to me, I always talk about, if everybody's equal, the person who wins is who gets back to center the fastest, right? How do you get grounded and back to center faster? That's who wins the game. And so how do you get mindful? And like I read this book 20 some years ago, it's called Living Your Yoga. So it's like anybody can do yoga like on the mat in a class, but can you live your yoga off the mat, right? Can you get there and surrender and be present? And so how do people not just be mindful when they're with their wealth advisor or when they're looking at their account, but how do they be mindful when, the Visa statement comes, the bills come, right? How do you stay mindful?
So, you said it in my intro, like I'm learning to become a meditation teacher at the same time. And I really do think that, having a daily practice helps you stay mindful. The point of, we call meditation a practice. And the reason we call it a practice, it's because one day it's applicable. when you sit on the cushion and stare at the wall and monitor your breath, you are practicing noting when you're, distracted. Oh, there's a thought about lunch. Oh, my knee hurts. Oh, she shouldn't have said that to me. Oh, all this stuff is a distraction. Then you come back to your breath. And then when you stand up off the cushion and you go upstairs to have breakfast and see your family, that's when stuff starts flying. That's when the stimulus happens. And sometimes the stimulus will come in the form of a new product like Bitcoin, or a new product or something exciting to invest in, and you'll get pulled towards it. Or sometimes it'll come in the form of a pandemic, or potential recession, or rates will rise, or all these things have happened recently, and so it's fresh in people's minds. And when it happens, you've practiced returning to your breath when you sit on the cushion. If you have a plan and you have a process, when you're met with all this stuff from the outside, you return to the plan and the process, and you don't get scared, don't get excited, just stay simple, keep it simple. And this is when we talk about the plans that we write, and the plans I talk about in the books and how we invest, we keep it as simple as possible because there's way less room for error if you keep it simple.
Yeah, I love it. Let's talk about meditation. I'm 51. I've been meditating for about 25 years. I love it. What are you being trained in?
Well, so it's classic Western mindfulness meditation with Jack Kornfield and Tara Brach's. It's called the Mindfulness Meditation Teacher Training Program, MMTCP.
Okay. All right, good. So I do. I took a Silva Mind class. Learned how to do Silva Mind. I took a TM class. So I do a lot of transcendental meditation, and then when I just don't feel like doing either one of those, I just do kind of a 5-5-5. So 5 second inhale, 5 second hold, 5 second exhale, five times. Meditation has been a huge piece of my life for a long time. Why should everybody meditate for at least 30 seconds to a minute a day?
So I would say that's not. So what the research says is 10 minutes a day. And
I know, but some people can't start with 10 minutes a day. So I'm just trying to give them a way in. Yes.
Start with a minute, start with 30 seconds, start with a minute, because you're going to build that up to 10 minutes. But the reason you do it, and this is the research, the brain research, the science behind what it does. It does two things. By sitting and meditating and getting that to that 8 or 10 or 15 minutes a day, you're changing the structure of your brain. What do I mean by that? Well, there's Daniel Kahneman wrote a book called, and he talked about System 1 and System 2 thinking. And System 1 is your the top of your spinal column. There's this amygdala, and the amygdala actually responds very quickly. It responds emotionally. It uses all your biases. It relies upon all your previously held beliefs. It doesn't think things through, and it just acts. And so that's the fight or flight mechanism. That's the thing that creates very fast action when there's risk. Now, that's System 1. System 2 is your frontal cortex. It's thoughtful, it's measured, it takes its time, it considers new information. And when you meditate, when you get to that 10 minutes a day, you're actually, and there's a study, I don't remember out of which school that talks about this, but you actually change the gray matter. When you meditate, you decrease the volume of your amygdala. So the mass and the gray matter, the actual brain structure itself, shrinks, making you less reactive. And your frontal cortex, more of those synapses are formed and linked up, and you get more stronger gray matter in the frontal cortex by meditating. And so you're actually able to take more of those decisions that are sort of gut decisions and move them towards a thoughtful, non-reactive, planning-based decision. So it has literal effect on your relationships, on work, on productivity, on investing, on everything in your life. That's why you do it.
I love it. So I just want to throw out a TED Talk. A great TED Talk is all it takes is 10 mindful minutes. I don't know if you've seen it, by Andy Pudakambi. I can't pronounce his last name, but it's a great TED Talk on, to your point, why you need to meditate, why you should meditate for 10 minutes. And he gets
Yep.
into a lot of the things that you're talking about. Think community, you hear me talk a lot about meditation. I've had meditation specialists on the show. We talk a lot about, mindfulness, stillness, meditation, quiet time, etc. So important to do all of this because there are so many moving parts. I think, Jonathan, in the world, you've got to just get centered. Yeah.
And and I'll be just honest, for the first 5 years I meditated, I was terrible. And there's no such thing as a bad meditator. That's not the right way to frame it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't sit still. I sat down, I got up. I sat down, I got up. I just could not stay on the cushion. And I had a teacher who said, Jonathan, don't stress. Keep sitting down. Keep trying. You'll waver until you stop wavering. That's true of everybody. Everybody has a challenging introduction to meditation. But everybody that sticks with it ends up going, wow, I'm really glad I did this. Like, I don't know a single person that stuck with it and meditates on a regular basis that goes, oh, that's a waste of time. Not a single person.
Yeah. All right, good. Let's talk about, you went to the University of Chicago Booth School of Business. I was sharing with you, I think I shared with you, I'm a business coach. I work with solopreneurs to Fortune companies and everything in between. Recently launched a second business, which is a coaching platform just for 18 to 26-year-olds. Because I feel, and I have a business partner, and we both feel that they just don't have the tools for life and building their brand and their career that they need at that age. And so if you were to go back to business school, what do you wish you would have learned that you didn't?
Interesting question. So I didn't get an MBA at the Booth School of Business. I worked on my chartered private wealth analyst there. So it's not, I didn't spend 2 years at the school. I spent 2 years, but it was through a program from a distance. And I was there for like 3 months once. So I was working on a very specific thing. And during my grad school years, I was actually studying at the Institute of Buddhist Studies. So I was doing comparative religion with an emphasis on Tibetan Buddhist phenomenology. So I that's where I started meditating. And I think if I had it to do over again, I dropped out because I needed to work to support my wife who's in grad school. I probably would have not severed the tie as sharply as I severed the tie. I probably would have tried to hang on for a couple of years and finished it more slowly rather than dropping out. But other than that, regrets are kind of, we all have them, but I don't want to spend much time on them.
Yeah. Well, I don't want regrets. Regrets are great, but what do you wish you would have learned in class that maybe you didn't learn?
I can't.
What class do you wish was maybe taught?
So I think the thing that, in studying comparative religion in grad school, it was very academic. And so one of the reasons that I was able, or one of the ways I justified dropping out was because I wanted to focus more on practice and less on, understanding the Abhidharma, which is like, 50 times the size of the Bible, very, very specific. It's very, very complex. And I was deep in it all the time. And it was interesting and it was cool. It's very philosophical, but it doesn't lead me to enlightenment. It doesn't lead me to being a better person. It doesn't lead me to having a better relationship with my own brain. So I wish the classes were there. I just didn't sign up for them. I wish I would have focused more on practice and less on, philosophy. But going into it as a 19-year-old, that's what I want. I liked the philosophy. That's what I liked. I liked the reading and the studying. I didn't like the meditation as much. So it makes sense. I did that. I wish I was a little bit wiser about it when I started.
Yeah. All right. It's okay. All right. So good. I appreciate that. All right. So now kind of take us back to today. Stock market's volatile. And the market, the Fed just recently came out again in November, announced a pause. How should people be thinking about money today? I'm not going to ask you for predictions but how should people be thinking about, right? How should people be thinking about money today? How can they put their fear on the sidelines?
So I think the best thing people can do is, and I mean this, there's very few sources of stability in the financial world. So I would say subscribe to the newsletter, subscribe to the Mindful Money newsletter. And by doing that, you'll get a weekly reminder. And I've been writing a lot in the last 4 weeks about the gathering darkness. And I've been reminding people that again, this is the soup we swim in. There's always the gathering darkness. There's always the Fed doing something. There's always a reason for a potential recession. There's always, a pandemic, a crash, a correction. There's always something that's being talked about. The human brain is a beautiful thing in that it flushes history. So we don't remember all the stuff that we have overcome, because if we did, we couldn't get out of bed in the morning. So it's really a good, adaptation to flush that history, but it also sets us up for a mistake in what we believe. And so what we end up believing is that we move from uncertainty to certainty in life. And we don't do that. We move from uncertainty to uncertainty to uncertainty to uncertainty. And once we wake up and remember, just have an adult memory about this stuff, read history, think about what came before. In fact, I'd say everyone listening should go look up what happened in 1970. That's 53 years ago. 1970 was a horrific time for the market and the world. We came off the gold standard. We had a massive recession. We had huge riots where National Guard opened fire on students at colleges at Kent State, Ohio. So it was a but we forget. And we think that today is new and it's unprecedented, it's difficult and it's bad. And it'll be different in the details, but it's just more of the gathering darkness. And so you have to come up with tools to remind yourself that there's something else happening all the time that doesn't get the same headlines. And we refer to that often as the unperceivable growth or the inconceivable progress. There's lots of ways to refer to it, but it's always happening. And that's why we invest. We don't invest because the crazy. We invest because of the inconceivable progress, and that is underlying. It is more powerful than the daily headlines. And the daily headlines, 6 months will be different. We'll think about something else. We'll be worried about something else. Let them go.
Okay. Thank you for that. Quick speed round. You got a lot of books behind you. A book that's had a big impact on you, and why?
Oh, geez. One of my favorite books is The Words of My Perfect Teacher by Pacho Rinpoche. It's basically meditation and why meditation and why you're such a lucky person to be a human and be alive today, and the things you should do. You should meditate, right? But there's so many. I mean, Seth Godin's books I love. There's just there's so many to name. I can't even begin. All of them are great. The ones that are there are great. There's a whole, what you don't see is there's cabinets underneath that are filled with books I'm not a fan of.
Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Just take a step.
Yeah. And finish the sentence. I love it. One thing everybody can do to be more mindful is?
Breathe. Attend to your breath.
It's a good one. Think community, Jonathan, I really appreciate your time today. Think community, always good to talk about the power of mindfulness and the power that money has for us, over us, and with us. And really good to evolve, however your relationship is, always good to evolve it a little bit with the connection of money. I'm a big believer that the more money somebody makes, the more money I make, the more I can help other people. That's kind of what keeps me grounded. I like to make money and I like to help other people. And so to me, it's a way to kind of marry the Zen spiritual side of me with the, being a conscious capitalist, right? It keeps me balanced. Think community, find your formula of what works for you. And Jonathan, tell people where they can connect with you, buy your books, and learn more about you.
Yeah, best place to connect is to go to mindful.money. There's no .com, it's mindful.money. Subscribe to the newsletter. That's the best way to connect. And you'll hear from me every week.
Awesome. I love it. All right. Well, this was great. Think community, you can reach me at jondwoskin.com. And the program for the 18 to 26-year-olds can be found at launch-3.com. Jonathan, this was great. I appreciate all your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, John. Love it.